comedy.
We're already laughing because I'm forcing Scott to show up today. Welcome back to the Jessica Bergio Show. I'm so excited today. I have my husband with me on the podcast. I wouldn't say by free will. I think I've asked him a million times to come on the show. And today we finally got a yes out of him. So we are here and we are going to bring you inside of kind of what it's taken us to build what we have. And for me, that looks like successful, happy relationship that's now turned into a marriage. We got married in December in Cabo. If you follow me on social, you were along for the ride and saw all those amazing photos that we got. But this is my husband, Scott, and yeah, he's here against his will. So this episode, I hope, is going to be part comedy, 1, and 2, just a peek inside of my life, because I know you guys have seen me shift over the years. I've had this podcast now for almost 6 years, and we're close to 400 episodes. And thanks to this guy, I still have the show. He is the reason why I haven't quit the show fully. I've taken a couple pauses, as you guys know, but he's been one of my biggest cheerleaders. You can't see because if you're not watching the video, but there is a award. What do you call that?
Yeah. Like it's the glass.
The glass. So
all about the glass.
In corporate, you get awards for certain accolades or milestones in your career. And Scott has gotten me not one, there's 2 actually there when I hit my 200th episode and my 300th episode. But he was there when I hit my 100th episode and helped me host a party. So he's been here almost since the beginning. I can say I started it before I met him, but I don't think I would have stayed in the game as long if I didn't have somebody supporting me the way he's been supporting me. So I know there's a lot of people who have recently commented on some of my posts about relationships and that. So anyways, that's why Scott's here, because I want you guys to get to know him and understand that, you know, asking for help, I say often on this podcast, is your biggest flex. Allowing someone into your space to help support you so that you continue to show up, that you continue to see yourself and the value that you bring. You know, he said to me many times of, you know, you just love this podcast so much and you're just like a different version of yourself after you record an episode. I might let him talk at one point during this episode. I haven't decided yet. Why don't I shut up?
I'm just the cute one who's in the background and just takes a picture. That's all. I just have to smile.
He's learning how to be my Instagram boyfriend too. But
that's a process.
What has this journey looked like as far as like, you know, our relationship? I know people know we've done long distance this whole time. We're now married, but we still don't live in the same city.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's been, you know, obviously quite the journey. The part where I really just am proud of what we've been able to do is to just really trust each other. I mean, I think people, you know, they talk about trust all the time. That's not one of the things that we have a problem with. It's more of how we've been able to build our communication and our trust around the fact of the distance.
Yeah.
You have to be really intentional on where you're going to spend your time, how you're going to spend your time. And then when you do get that time together, you have to make it special. And I know sometimes you just want like a normal life, where I'm like, well, we've only got X amount of hours, so we got to do X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of been the biggest thing so far.
It sounds like you just outlined how to run a successful business as well. Figuring out where to allocate your time so it means something. Building trust, whether that's with your partner, the people in your life, the people that follow you on social media. You guys knew I was going to turn this into like a business type of thing too, because I can't help it, because that's what this podcast is essentially here for, is to help you in all facets of your life. I call myself a holistic life and business coach, yes, but like the life part needs to be just as important as the business part, because how many people do we know are successful on paper in business, but their life is not great? Not great. And that ripple effect on both ends, right, can be a big wake up call for a lot of people who experience either quarter life or midlife or senior life crisis, because they wake up one day and they feel unfulfilled in one area or another. And what they thought was going to be the ultimate level of success, again, once in business, or I managed to stay married X amount of years, or we raised our kids and got them off to college, whatever your version of success is it actually fulfilling you, or are you doing what you think you're supposed to be doing? So Scott was married for 20 years before we met. So I knew that he had a track record of being a committed individual. He has been with the same firm for 26 years.
Maybe 26 years in March. Yeah.
I got a commitment type of guy here, okay? And that was important to me when I met him. And of course, I wasn't part of the interview process, but it was something that I noticed and that I listened for, because I was like, I want to build something with somebody. And I think that lingo I kind of use is like, I wanted a teammate. You know, in this world, it can feel very lonely. How many people are in relationships that feel super lonely? How many people are running businesses where they feel lonely? They don't feel connected. You don't feel like you're part of a team, or there isn't that culture there. We're not all on the same page. And I wouldn't say we're always on the same page, but we have the same vision for.
We're in the same book.
We're in the same book, at least. Yeah. And we are on the same team. And I think we just have learned that we have different processes of how we get to where we want to go. And we've learned to adjust to each other's needs, the way we move. I'm going to give an example because I'm a good example of someone who comes off one way in a sense of like needing my space, and now have learned kind of what that really means and looks like.
Well, it's definitely a balance. I mean, at first when you would like not necessarily pull away, but you would like need your space, I didn't understand. I'm like, well, what is it? And then you start looking at yourself. You start, am I not doing this right? Am I not doing that right? But then when I saw and allowed it to happen without taking anything personal, I saw the version of you coming back was better than if I just like we were always together. So that made it easier. I mean, like this morning was a perfect example. Like I got up and you were gone. Like, where'd she go? And I went in and saw Kai. I'm like, where's your mom? Oh, she went for a walk. And I'm like, yes, because you'll come back in a great mood. You walked in, you're all sweaty. Look at how fast I, walked, I ran, I did all this stuff. And then you're high as a kite and in a great mood. I mean, you brought up something earlier, like not that you were involved in the interview process, but that I had, I'm consistent. Well, one of the things that attracted me to you was that you were willing to take some risks. You liked what you were doing. You wanted to go do different things. You were not afraid to try stuff. And even though, my work is really challenging and there's a lot of things that come at me every single day, I'm not leaving to go try something new. I'm not going to try a podcast or switch the name or open a salon or open up a space. I just haven't had to do that because I'm not an entrepreneur, so it's just been very attractive to see somebody who's willing to go out there and take risks.
You could have rambled on that list of things a lot longer. I'm very proud of you for cutting it off at like 4.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you know, my entrepreneurs, we have that brain. We have that mindset of like anything is possible. And so you have all of these ideas that that you would be so good at if you could just take the time or carve out the time or have the financial means to like take action on something. And so I feel that pain of wanting to do all the things, but knowing that you can't is one. So he sees that frustration. There's a lot of things that I like pipe dream talk about all the time where I'm just like, just let me ramble. Don't take what I'm saying and try to like.
Well, and that took me a long time too, because you would come up with all these ideas and then I'm a doer. Like I don't talk about a lot of stuff. I'm like, if something gets thrown out there on the table, and especially the job I've had for so long, it's time for me to go fix it. That's what I do. Somebody brings something to me, I go and fix it. So you'd bring all these ideas up, and it used to be like, I don't like the word anxiety, but it was like, there was this pressure, like, well, we've got to do this and we've got to do that and we've got to do this. And then now I learn, like, let it sit. And if it's really real, then we'll go and execute on it. So sometimes I chuckle in the back of my mind when you're like, we're going to go do this. And I'm like, no, we're not. This is just your 2.5 cups of coffee in right now. So we'll let it roll. And then it never comes back up. And I'm like, that was off my deck. So I don't have to worry about it.
Again, you guys, this is why I had to have him on the show, because you think you know yourself until you really hear about yourself through the eyes of someone who truly loves you and is like sharing from a place of true, authentic knowing. Like, no one knows me better in this season or in the last 5 or 6 years than he does, right? He's been through the ups and downs with me. We've shared our own set of hardships that had nothing to do with us that we had to navigate as a couple.
We can say fuckery on this, can we?
Fuck yeah, it is my podcast. Yeah. We had explicit on, I think, episode 2. But there was some seasons that I didn't know if we were going to make it, like just in general, because of what we had to go through. But ultimately, like every time we were faced with the challenge of maybe, saying, hey, we gave it our best shot, we took a harder look of like, was a lot of what's going on with us, our doing, did we cause the issues, or is it outside shit that's fucking with us, that's making us pick at each other because other things out of our control, right? You just heard he's a fixer. Well, hello, he's a man. And most of us women, we want to control the situation and fix things too. And when you can't, that's very easy to bring that shit home and like project it on your partner, the only other person who's there, right? You're frustrated, you're angry, whether it has to do with work or, we both have significant others that we have children with, and we've had to navigate really hard shit over the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, really hard stuff multiple times. And every single time that we've gotten into an argument or a fight, it's been on the heels of just like being so frustrated, so let down, so angry, all of the feelings in between. And it comes out, unfortunately, with your partner. And so we can get into an argument over something so stupid, but if we really pull back, like what's going on, we can sometimes see like, no, you're right. I am very upset with things that are going on at work or with this certain situation. I didn't mean to take it out on you. And no, I'm not mad at you. Like maybe I'm a little frustrated at what you did. Yeah, shit happens, but no one's perfect, obviously, but we definitely have to give taken everything in stride and learned that the hard way. But also, I think we've grown so much because of these hardships.
Yeah. I think going through some of the stuff that we've gone through, and when we've had, some pretty significant problems coming up, when you just stop and reevaluate it, at least I know I did, it's like, look at what we've already gone through and what we've learned by going all through it. And like, who else would I want to go through the next chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter? Because I know that we had got to learn new ways of communicating. We had to find new ways to actually stop and look at what we were contributing to it. Were you bringing a solution or another problem? And I mean, you guys have met her, very strong-willed, like doesn't like to lose. But then am I perceiving her sharing what she's feeling about as trying to win? Or is it that just want to be able to vent, get it out there, and like, let's just put the problem on the table and figure out how we can take the skills that we've already learned to be able to solve them or come up with new ways of interacting. And I think that, the last kind of conflict we had, it's been really nice since, because I think we learned a lot about each other and what was causing it. And like, you have to stop and really think about when something does that is very stressful or is causing you a lot of angst or whatever, how are you reacting to it and what is it causing your partner to go through?
Mm.
And then if you can stop and think about that for a second, and what is a better way of doing it, or explaining to them like, the reason why I'm maybe acting XYZ is because of this. And then they understand that it's not as personal.
Even though we can already see what's going on, us projectors, unfortunately. Generators take a little longer to actually like understand the situation. And I say that with love, because having a partner who's a generator and I'm a projector, if I talk a lot about human design on this podcast, it's very important to understand how your partner makes decisions, whether it's your literal relationship partner or your business partners or people that work for you or that you work for, even your children. I know what my son is. He's a manifesting generator. Like, that's why I don't hold it against him that he gets so bored doing things. If it's not his idea, he doesn't want to do it. If he's not engaged, he's not interested. And so we've had to come up with fun ways, thanks to Scott, who is participating in helping me raise Kai and to be a amazing human being, to take school more seriously. Kai's so uninterested in school. He's learning Spanish right now, for instance. We've been like getting him to study with us. Like, it's been a joke. I mean, we don't know Spanish, so clearly we didn't do a very good job. But the point is of like passing the class. So the last couple of days, we've just been trying to really make it more fun. And there's been times when I've actually been annoyed with Scott. I'm like, just leave him alone. Like, he's fine. But then I'm like, so thankful at the same time that I have a partner who's willing to give a fuck and cares about the well-being of my kid and who's trying to make an effort. So there's like both and, right? There's so many scenarios where things are both and. I'm sure he'd rather be kicked up on the couch, watching a show, having a glass of wine. But instead, he's choosing to participate in the family dynamic and help my kid and help me help. And like, it's creating such a fun bond, because I can see Kai really stop giving me such a hard time, because he's like, why are you up my ass about school? And I'm like, I've always been up your ass about school. Like, now it's just in front of somebody. And it's interesting because we're all competitive. I think there's a little competitive nature to us, but there's also that ability of feeling embarrassed if you don't know something. And so I think they're still leveling out that of Kai being able to fully beat him. He's a teenager. He's 14, right? He's just fucking weird. 14-year-olds are weird. I was weird. I was weird from like 12 to 17. And I say weird, I mean, like, you don't really understand what's going on with your body. You're trying to be cool, but you don't know anything. You look the dorkiest you're ever going to look in your entire life. You've never been judged so much by your peers. It's just a weird time. Also, he's gone through some like physical things. You guys know he broke his leg twice in the last year, which has been gnarly. He has to have another surgery here coming up, which has been stressful. And so it's really just been beautiful to see kind of how we've all bonded over some things, and then also how we're bonding over things like schoolwork. But back to the generator projector dynamic, knowing about each other, like he'll send me memes all the time on Instagram about projectors, and I send him stuff about generators, which every one of those pieces of content actually helps us understand each other more. And the more you can understand somebody, the more compassion, empathy, sympathy, patience, support you can have and give them. And I think, again, that's why we made it as far as we have, because we've really taken the time to understand each other and who each other is. And you have to give grace, because, I'm not perfect. And so I can't expect somebody else to always be nice, kind, sweet, charming, what all the things that wooed you in the beginning, right? And that's how a lot of you guys feel with your business too right now, or maybe your podcast. Maybe it was sexy and it was cool to start a podcast, and now you feel like it's just a bunch of work. Maybe you thought having an online business was going to feel different than it does. Maybe you thought quitting your 9 to 5 and going all in on creating quote unquote time freedom instead of trading time for money, you're still trading time for money and you don't have any more freedom than you had before. In fact, now you're probably working twice as hard, making half as much money. Like there's so many scenarios where learning about yourself, just as much as you give grace to learn about the person that you want to be with, is so important. And that's why these journeys of exploration and my crazy idea time are just ways for me to discover like my true purpose. And it changes as I evolve and grow and as I get older and as the seasons of my life change. Over the last 5 years, I've committed a whole lot more time and effort into this relationship than I have my business, which resulted in getting married. So winner, I'm winning. We're both winning. If I had spent as much time on my business and my salon even business as I did with going back and forth to Arizona, going on the trips, taking the time to be alone together and focus it more on my business, I know I would have a different result income wise. It's just facts. You can't be everywhere all the time. And so in this relationship, we've had these really hard conversations because I'm like, well, if I didn't do this, then I could do that. So again, everything comes with a sacrifice, and everybody find yourself in that story because, you know, he too has had to figure out ways to be relevant and on top of shit with work like he was before when he was 24/7 in Arizona and wasn't traveling either. He's had to like figure out his work method and time allotment and all of that. So, I mean, there's a lot that we've had to navigate and things that we've had to sacrifice and do in order to have the end result be a happy, fulfilled relationship where we can now speak openly and talk about stuff and hopefully share some insights of, you know, what it really takes to build something together.
Yeah, I think one of the dynamics that I think it was very interesting that we got a chance to go through was I think there was a lot of pressure on you to feel like you couldn't do the business stuff because you felt like this obligation that you had to come here and come there. And it was like, I think we've had multiple conversations where like, you tell me what you need to do, and then I'll be there when you get back, or let me find ways to support you as you go through it. Everybody wants to be there for everything and wants to be able to participate in everything or feel like they're completely present. But I mean, when we went to Europe for a couple of weeks, like you shared, like, I didn't want to, not that you didn't want to be there. And we were having one of the best times. We were doing everything, but you felt this, you know, there was a piece missing because you felt like you weren't doing something else you should do. And now I'm a lot more cognizant of that. I'm like, well, if that doesn't make sense, then let's not go, or let's pick a different time, or let's grind before we go so that you feel like you've at least checked all the boxes to a certain extent and can then let yourself go and be present on where you're at. I mean, and you talked about the interactions with Kai, like, you know, he obviously has his dad, which does all the things and, you know, it is there. But I get to do something different. Like I can push him and I do push him, but I watch him very closely to see, like, am I pushing him to go do something? Like we'll talk about the Spanish stuff. Like I just kept on him, like, let's go do the flashcards again. Let's do them again. And then I was watching him and he was totally okay with it. And then lots of recognition for the ones that he did do well. And I don't let him off the hook. You know, like he's like, oh, I'm done. I'm like, well, what do you mean you're done? You got 4 more. You still, you know, like keeping him engaged and then just having some conversations with him around like, what's worse? Sitting here doing these flashcards with me on the couch, having a good time, or having them put that test in front of you, not knowing the answers. And he kind of looked at me really seriously. He's like, I don't want to not know the answers. I'm like, well, then let's grind this out. That's cool. Go play video games for a little while, come back, we'll grind out, we'll do it, go get some dinner, we'll grind it out. And then hopefully we'll get all the good news that he did well on his test today. So it's just it's a fun dynamic. I mean, I had a chance to raise 2 boys beforehand. And yes, I'm completely vested in him, but it's different. It's different. You get a chance to not feel like this is the first time. You know, I watched my brother who had 2 kids and then he had his third, and just his perspective on there was always such a race to get the kid to the next level, the next grade, and didn't get to like be present and enjoy it. And that's what I get with Kai. Like I can be completely present and his joy. He's 14. I've seen this now. This is my 3rd time. So I hope 3's a charm. We got it down. But, you know, I guess it's a lot different.
It is different. And it's been really cool to see our kids like bond and create their own relationship with each other. Just, you know, without the pressure. We got really lucky. They all love video games. So they spend a lot of hours together playing video games.
They talk more than we do. They
well,
talk together more than I talk to them.
Yes. Well, his oldest just graduated from University of San Francisco and he's doing just remarkable. He's going to stay living there. He moved from Arizona out there. And so he's starting his life and he still makes time to play video games with Kai and they'll talk over the headset. And like that kind of bond is so special. And I think it's rippled down from us, creating a safe space for them. You've created a safe space for me. I hopefully have done the same for you. And so again, we go back to that trust piece. And I think this is where a lot of people skip, and they want to have the after without the work, which a lot of that self-trust has to come from yourself first. Like, we can't have trust with each other if you don't trust yourself. And I think for me, trusting that what he's saying, go do what you need to do, I'll be there. Like, I had to trust myself that I wasn't making excuses, that, oh, if I was there, then I'd be able to do it. So him putting it back on me, saying, listen, if you need to create your schedule and do what you need to do, like, go do it. And so you've seen a shift in my content. You've seen a shift in my podcast and taking my brand up a notch and leveling things up in a different way. So, I had to trust myself before I could trust him, and just created this beautiful, yummy circle of trust, right? We had a little love bubble. But all that to share, like, I wanted you guys to get like more of an inside look to see how I've been able to create what I've created, because anyone who says they've done it on their own is full of shit. I truly believe you either had mentors or people in your life that have supported you, I hope. And if you have honestly done something on your own, you probably were influenced by somebody to take that step or to do that thing, right? We all have seen things before we actually went and we're brave enough to try them. I always say every thought's been thought, everything's already been said and done, but your perspective shift on it from your lived experience is going to be the differentiator that's going to make you unique, to help you build a personal brand and a business and create a relationship that's truly authentic to you, that no one else can step in and replace me in any parts of my life. And so I think that builds self-trust again, but that turns into confidence, that turns into ownership, that turns into leadership. And you need all of those things in a relationship, in a business, raising children. I mean, watching what he's gone through in the corporate space, definitely, like, I hear a lot of entrepreneurs who came from the corporate world make jokes of like, what am I doing? I should just go back to my 9 to 5, because entrepreneurship is hard, but so is what he has to go through every day. He manages a ton of people. He has to deal with different red tape that I don't have to. I mean, it's not apples to apples by any stretch, but the same ups and downs throughout the day, the same frustrations throughout the week, the same letdowns, the same joys. Like, there's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows. And so I think we've both learned not to get too high on the highs and not too low on the lows. I don't want to speak for you, but you've gone through a lot of changes since we met, from what line of business you were in to what you're in now. And you've had to navigate some pretty gnarly shit too.
Yeah. You think that being with the same firm for 26 years, I thought I knew it all. And, early in our relationship, I had an opportunity to take on a way bigger role. And I don't know if I would have really gone after it if I hadn't seen you like trying all these different things. And then when I decided to jump in,
it's my fault. This is all.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It was a blessing. That's how I see how to spin everything. There's always
having drinks with this conversation.
But you going through that process has been very difficult, but very rewarding at the same time. And, I think having a long distance relationship, you talk about people that are, you might not have somebody there with you. Like, it's not the hard days that are hard when we're not together. It's the great days when I come home and you're not there. That's the tough ones, because you want to share it with somebody. And like, she always tries to give advice. Like, that's the person that you want, is the one that you want to share all your successes with. Yeah, you got to be able to dump some garbage sometimes, or be able to talk out a problem, but celebrating your successes, that should be so much more. It's, that book Shoe Dog that Phil Knight wrote, and he talks about, when people look at like their business, they always focus on the negative. Or like for me, I get all these corporate reports, and my eyes used to always go to the bottom. Who's at the bottom, and what's the problem, and how am I going to fix it? And then what happens is you stop doing the things that you've always are focused on the negative. You stop doing the stuff that's actually working, so you can even do them more, because that is what's getting you to the next level. So it's like really trying to stay positive. I get a lot of crap that I'm, a glass half full and overly optimistic, but it's the only way I can live. I mean, yeah, it might be raining, but hey, the trees are going to be better tomorrow. I mean, like stupid stuff like that. I mean, that sounds dumb, but that's how you have to look at it, because I will go down a rabbit hole of all of the problems, because no one calls me with good news at work. They don't. That's not my job. I've got, over 2,000 employees and 230, locations. It's like everybody just calls me with problems. I make jokes. Like, no one calls me with like a good Christmas cookie recipe. Like, just call me with good news. And so now it's funny, because I've said that a few times. They just call me out of the blue and like, hey, had a great day, boss. I'm like, awesome. So finding things that fill your cup is really, really important.
I love that. I agree. I think I made a recent post on Instagram about how I started to feel journaling was toxic for me. And I got a little pushback from some people like, well, I can't relate to that, but I can relate to like the 5 a.m. club wasn't for me. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm a 5 a.m. club girl through and through because I have to be. It's the only time I get any time to myself. And I was spending a lot of it rehashing what had happened the day before. And when I explained that in the post, it was the journaling kind of ended up being like where I was searching in my brain for like what happened yesterday, whether it was good or bad. And instead of being present with the morning and the possibility of today, I was more focused on what had happened yesterday, again, good or bad. And it was keeping me kind of stuck. I would go back and read old journal entries and it was like the same shit over and over and over again. And I just felt like I couldn't move forward. And I stopped journaling about 6 months ago, maybe. I didn't even realize like I had kind of stopped. And I focused more on like positive mindful meditation or just getting out the door and going for my workout or just sitting in silence with myself, a form of meditation, yes, with my coffee, enjoying the fact that like I'm up today and I get these few minutes to myself. And so again, his annoyingly positive outlook on life clearly has like rubbed off now 5, 6 years later. And I definitely feel a more positive outlook on life in general. And so it really truly matters who you surround yourself with, whether it's your partner or people you work with or the people you're spending time with or people that you're even ingesting on social media. So if you're around anybody who's not giving you the good vibes or you get any sort of ick or red flag, like unless they're your actual partner and you want to put the work in, like move yourself away from things that don't intuitively feel good to you because that intuition is there for a reason. So lean in. I hope you guys love this episode. There's going to be more coming. We're off to yoga right now. We're going to be late, but I'm getting this guy to do yoga, so we got to go. I'm sending you guys so much love. If you love these episodes, you want a little bit more behind the scenes of what it takes to build what we have, we would love to share. It's more so about just like giving you a behind the scenes versus like, oh, we got it all figured out. Listen to us. Don't worry, we're not starting some couples mastermind or doing any sort of anything like that. But I do think it's important to learn about like the people you spend time with. So if you're spending time with me on this podcast, I appreciate you so much. And if you want to leave a rating review, you know that's my biggest love language. Was this fun? Did I torture you too much?
Well, if they're going to give reviews, so like I just behind the scenes, am I sitting up straight enough? Did I talk enough? Or my eyes in the right spot? Did I not talk with my hands?
Okay, I'm going to hit stop now.
Okay, thanks.
We love you guys. We'll see you on the next episode of the Jessica Bergio Show.